When we want to create more for ourselves, when we want to step into a new lifestyle, a new everyday life where we are actually creating a lot more space for ourselves, we have to look into different type of lifestyle choices so that we are able to do that. Many do experience a busy life, and either though you are very new to spirituality or you have been on a spiritual journey for a long time, there are different type of tweaks so that we can balance in our lives, in our everyday lives, so that we can have more space for ourselves, have more space to tune into us, and also do what we feel is delightful or what we feel is fun or what we really enjoy with our everyday life. I do notice that we are many of us that do feel and experience that we have a very busy schedule and a very busy life. Going through life, we always seem to find ways how we didn't have time for some certain type of self-care or spiritual care and so forth. But this is something that we want to change, of course, and this is something that makes us also expand into this kind of conscious being. So in order for us to do that, I do have three different type of choices, lifestyle choices that I made in my own life that I want to discuss with you today. But I also want to give you a little bit of a short story before we start with these three choices that you can make in your own life in order for you to create more space for your spirituality. A couple of years ago, I realized that I wanted more space for myself. It was important for me to find ways where I could have space for my creativity, where I could have more space for evolving and developing hobbies. I didn't have so many hobbies by then, actually, because I noticed that most of my days or most of my weekends, afternoons and so forth was actually based in habits, routines, fixing something at home, going buying some food, all of that kind of things. And I realized that I didn't live a life of expansion and I didn't feel so much alive in my life. So during that point, I did also start to see that, I built a life where I had all these kind of must-dos or these kind of to-dos, so to say, but they weren't so fulfilling in my life. I also noticed that I wanted to de-stress a lot. So I felt very stressed out. And if it wasn't like physical stress or that it was like a hectic day at work or something like that, I still felt stressed. So I noticed that it was a pattern within me and that I had a lot of patterns where I did feel very stressed and overwhelmed from within. So one of the things that I realized that I wanted to start doing was that I wanted to tend to me and honor myself in the mornings. I wanted to give more space for myself before I started the day, before I went to work and so forth. But at that point, I couldn't really see how I was about to fit that into my schedule. I had a work coach at that time in order for me to learn how to prioritize things and so forth and not feeling so overwhelmed at work. I did also had a lot of shadow work going on, and I went through a lot of like many heavy patterns that I've been having for a very long time. I was kind of in this kind of state of awareness and very like in the beginning of my spiritual journey, so to say. And because of that, it was a lot of other things happening. And I felt that I don't have a moment, a second, to fit in something else in my morning routine. Due to that, I made one decision that seemed so little, so small, maybe just weird even, but that literally changed my life forever. That one decision changed my mornings forever. That started and was the catapult for me having really fulfilling, enjoying, enriching mornings and feeling that I start the day from a state of fulfillment, start a day of like feeling calm and at peace. And even though it wasn't like it didn't happen directly in an instant, this was, as I said, the kind of beginning. So it was the catapult to something very, very big that would continue throughout the years for me. So that decision was that I decided to look to my daily routines. What is it that I'm doing in the morning preparing for the day? And is there something that I can take away from the equation? Remember that I said that I didn't see anything that I could take away from the equation. But my decision of finding that one thing that I could take out of the equation so that I could put in, I believe it was like 30 minutes of mindfulness and yoga practice and so forth, whatever it is that I wanted to do for that day in regards to mindfulness, right? And eventually I found one thing. I found that I take around 30 minutes to put makeup on myself. It's exactly those 30 minutes I need for something else. In addition to that, I felt also very stressed when I did that. I felt that I was perfecting myself. I felt that I was never done when I was putting makeup on myself. If I put some eyeshadow, then maybe I needed some mascara. And now when I put mascara, I also needed some lipstick, and it continued. So due to that, I decided that, okay, well, I kind of like to have colors in my face. I've always been like very drawn to having like these colorful lipsticks and so forth, right? So I was a little bit feeling like, wow, this feels uncomfortable. Like, should I really like give up something which I think is it's a nice way for me to beautify myself? But another part of me really also wanted to have a new perspective of myself. I wanted to be another person that maybe didn't care so much about those things. Because if it added stress to me, how helpful was it actually? How meaningful was that actually? The message in this story is that we can always find space in our everyday life where we can remove something in order for us to add something else. We don't always need to add if we feel that we need to remove a couple of things and then just let it flow, so to say. But in this case, I needed to remove something because I wanted to add something, right? So whatever it is and however your situation looks like, I want you to bring this message with you today. You can always find somewhere where you have space for something new. Because I keep on hearing this from beginners to very experienced self-growth people, so to say. People who are interested in evolving in themselves. People are interested in becoming more of themselves, right? That we are keep on saying that we do not have enough space for ourselves, for our spirituality. There are 3 lifestyle choices that I made for myself in order for me to create more space for myself and for my spirituality. And I've done this in a little bit different phases. So sometimes I'm in a certain type of phase, and then I need 1 or 2 of these examples that I will bring to you today. Sometimes I notice I'm more drawn to just 1 or whatever it is. So it depends a little bit on where I'm at in my evolvement, so to say, at that moment. So I will give you these 3 lifestyle choices now, and I will also let you know where I at least see where you're at and what type of choice that might be more suited for you, so that it's also easier for you to implement it in your life and integrate it in your life. Because sometimes I notice myself, when I get a lot of advices and so forth, if I'm not truly in tune with my intuition, or if I'm, feeling a little bit overwhelmed about the decisions, or like if I have been trying to find a solution for a while when it comes to that, sometimes it feels like all the information might be good and it can be difficult for us to sort that. So that's why I also want to let you know a little bit in at least how I see it, when it's the best time to implement a certain type of lifestyle choice. So the first one is obviously going very linked to the story that I told you. And that is to find something in your life where you see that you can remove something in order for you to add something. This is really great for those of you that do feel that you are living a very hectic, a very busy life, and you don't really see how you at this moment can change in your schedule. This might apply for someone who studies and at the same time also working, or someone who's going through a very deep transformational inner journey. So it's difficult for you to, do all at once or a lot at once, so to say. You already have a lot of energy, like heavier energy, so to say, to deal with. It can also apply for you if you are in a hustle mode where you are working a lot, or you're thinking about your work a lot, or you have a side project in addition to your full-time job, for instance. It might also be that you're really like having a really good time in your career. Things are happening for you. You're building momentum after momentum. You're having like this really good flow in your business, and you don't want to stop that flow. So it might also be that you are in in one way or another, your life is really, really packed, so to say. So in that case, we need to make it simple for ourselves, simple for our subconscious mind to make this kind of change, so we have the least resistance as possible in the situation. So that means that we have to look at these small little things, small little habits, small little routines which we have, where we see that, okay, this might actually not be as fulfilling, it isn't fulfilling any longer, or I'm actually going to prioritize another thing. Sometimes we really need to, negotiate with ourselves and what it is that we see that we have for us. But really sit down and practice here for you is to maybe go for 1 to 3 days and write everything down, what you're doing throughout the day, like your routines and your habits, and start to see how you can maybe make some additions and some moderations within those. It might be even that you just like you're doing something a little bit less, for instance. It doesn't have to be that you're totally removing something out of the equation, for instance, right? The next lifestyle choice and change that we want to do in this matter is for those of you that feel in one way or another that you're stagnating. And this might be a pattern which you see or feel in a lot of different areas in your life. You might notice that kind of your days have stagnated a little bit. It doesn't happen so much, or it's a lot on autopilot. It might be that you notice that you've been wanting a certain type of progress within yourself, within a certain type of area in your life and so forth, but you're not seeing that kind of quick progress that you want to see, or you feel that things have been stalling in one way or another. It has been stagnated. It just might feel that you just like, when we have this inner feeling of that, I don't really know if I'm progressing so much right now. It feels kind of like a little bit still, but not in a way where I feel that I'm getting a lot of energy from it, or when I'm just honoring the process, but it's more so about, I don't really know where to go next, almost like that feeling. If you have that feeling, it might be great for you to look into your practices, your routines, rituals that you have throughout your days, and if they are giving you true value, if they're giving you a deep sense of fulfillment, happiness, energy, or whatever it is for you. And look at specifically those routines, habits, practices which you have that have helped you greatly from before. Because what happens usually in our spiritual growth and evolvement is that something that we used to have a very great benefit of doesn't benefit us that much any longer, because we have grown out of it. We needed to do a certain type of practice that moment, or it was really fulfilling for us. But now it kind of isn't, because maybe we don't have that need or that desire so deeply any longer, or we maybe have embodied that kind of qualities that we wanted that practice for, right? So if you feel that you have been on a journey for a while, you're almost starting to feel a lot of this refreshments, this kind of energy of spring, the energy of renewal, the energy of, yeah, I'm entering into a new era. Yeah, I have so much more energy. Yeah, here I come, life, here it comes. What's more? If you are in those kind of considerations and thoughts, but you may also stumble back into like, but I have these kind of areas where I still need to grow in. It might just be that you've grown comfortable in where you're at and in where you have been. Okay, so in order for us to make a change, and in order for us to not feel this kind of stagnation, we have to look into what is it that we do already today, and how can we make them more fulfilling, or is there something that we need to change? So for instance, let's say that it was so fulfilling for you to always go for morning walks, but it doesn't feel fulfilling for you any longer. Feel into why is that? Is it the activity in itself, or is it the kind of emotion and the feelings that you're after within that activity? So it might be that before that gave you a sense of calm, it centered yourself, like recentered yourself in the mornings or whatever, but now you're in a phase where you actually need to be a lot more re-energized. You maybe feel that you need more energy, you need this kind of action. Maybe it's actually that you just need to have a more active morning walk. Might it be a quicker morning walk? might be dance jogs, which I do. So as I said, you don't necessarily have to change the activity in itself. Maybe it just needs some certain type of moderation. So the third lifestyle choice is probably for those of you that have a lot of space, actually. Even though you maybe clicked on this video and just like, yeah, I have a busy life, if you're honest with yourself, if you're really tuning into yourself, you know that you actually have a lot of space as well. You have started to, or for a while, actually been able to create a lot of freedom in your own life, create a lot of space for yourself. You maybe have a lifestyle, or you maybe have circumstances in your life where it's easy for you to actually make changes in your schedule, or in order for you to balance things out and so forth, right? So if you're at this point, you might also be a person that do a lot of spiritual things. I do see this often, for instance, in others who are spiritual coaches, who are yoga teachers, or whatever it is, right? They do have a lot of space for the spirituality because they do it in their job, or they do it in their hobbies, in their extra spare time. And in addition, they do that by themselves because, they're teaching what they preach, so to say. But what I also noticed is that because of that, those people, and I would almost say we, because I do feel that I'm quite much in that kind of energy, feel that we want even so deeper connection to our spirituality, and even more space in one way, but the space is maybe not so more, it's more like it needs to be deepened. But we might sometimes translate that into, I feel that I don't have space for myself. I give so much to others. I give so much into my passions, my inspirations, my creativity. And due to that, I do not feel that I give so much into myself. Like if I'm only doing something like totally for myself, to be honest, I may not have as much space as I wanted to have. If that's you, if you feel that resonates with you, we really need to look into the activities that we do and how we enjoy them today. And if that is so, that we can enjoy them even more so. And if we can really feel the deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for that moment. Because usually in this period, or this kind of phase that we're in life, we don't necessarily need to make changes or add or like remove something and stuff like that. It might be so as well. As I said in the beginning, sometimes we need 2 of these lifestyle changes, or all 3, or just 1. But most of the time, it will not help us, at least not in this phase, to add or remove things, because we will still not be able to appreciate deeply the activities that we do. So what we have to do is that we need to really recenter ourselves and really get into the kind of zone, the kind of flow of life when we're doing that practice, when we're doing that ritual, or whatever it is. So we need to find ways in which we can really tell ourselves that this is my moment, and I'm going to feel this moment so deep that I possibly can. Does that make sense, right? We have to enjoy this moment to the fullest. And there are certain type of things that we can do that. I do experience that using intention settings and being very intentional with your activity, your ritual, your practice is really helpful in this case. Being intentional that you maybe start up and you open up this space to really be intentional. Why do I do this? And sit with that for as long as you need before you start it. And then whenever it comes like this kind of other thoughts or other things, we have to be able to try to find a balance where you can really see that this moment is beautiful and rich in itself, and I don't need anything else. Right? And so it can also be that sometimes we need to do different type of mindfulness practices. We maybe need to be more aware of all our senses. We maybe need to be more aware of how it feels to touch the yoga mat when we're going down on that one. Or it might be that we have to like smell or listen to what we hear in our surroundings, whatever it is, like connect more deeply to our all senses. Because what I notice, if we are in this kind of phase, usually we are occupied. We are occupied with other things. We are occupied with other ideas, other thoughts, other passions. We are very, very occupied in our minds many times, very often. But it can also be that we are occupied in that we feel that we need to respond to someone if they write to us directly. We need to physically be everywhere, be occupied in that way. Or it can be that we are occupied in vibrationally energy and in our energies, right? So this is kind of the key for this kind of phase, that you in one way or another aren't actually like, you can calm down and create more peace in your lives, but you have to understand how it is that you make yourself feel occupied and how you can be less occupied, so to say. So I would also say for this stage that gratefulness practice has worked the best for me, where I'm very grateful, but also, appreciating things, appreciating the moment. I'm almost making it my own sessions. Okay, so I'm doing it really, really pleasurable for me. I do like, okay, now I'm going to have this tarot read for myself, and I'm going to go to my tarot table, so to say, which I have in my office, and I'm going to give it to myself as I would give it to another. So I will really like make the scene. I would really like add the different type of crystals, which I feel that these are the energies that we need for this. I will really handpick the decks that I feel is the best for this question. I really sit through and feel into if this is the question that we are actually supposed to ask in this session, and I will give my all into the moment. I will really, as if I'm like treating myself my own session. Okay, that is for me very helpful many times. It doesn't have to be something in what is kind of something that I do professionally as well, like yoga, for instance, which I love a lot, but it's not my profession. I do that for myself as well. Maybe I really like, okay, now I want to have kind of a yoga session for myself in my own home. Well, I will find the best video, the best instructor, where I really feel that, oh, I'm being so taken care of at this moment. Maybe I start with a meditation first because I want the full package. I maybe wanted to add some packages to this experience today. So I make it very experience based. And that is something which I feel is not only for this advice today and for just how we can create more space for ourselves, but this is actually how we can feel that we are attracting and calling in more in our lives, and an experience of life where we really enjoy it is to actually make the experience in every single moment the best experience, how it is that we would have wanted to have that experience delivered. It may sound weird, but for me it helps a lot actually. So that is just like a side tip for this one. If you got great value out of this episode, I do believe that you will love this too. So there are a lot of important steps in regards to our lifestyle choices and the way that we create more space in our life for ourselves and our spirituality. But there are also other components in regards to how it is that we approach life and the way that we actually expand and extract ourselves. There is not an easy answer in how it is that we can become something very different, and how we can step into a new era in our lives, and how we can become the better version of ourselves that we really feel that is resonating for us. So due to that, there isn't one question or one answer to it, but it is a very important pattern. And that is a pattern of choosing how we get to experience life. See, we have learned behaviors in how we approach life, in how we view life, and in how we also view that things that comes into our circumstances, such as seeing and viewing something as a problem while it's actually a desire. It is also in the way that we choose to take responsibility for our change and our transformation, but also how we look at life and how we view life in every single situation. And because of that, I created my coaching package, Struggle Free. This is the coaching package which I love, because this has really built the foundation in becoming in such a high vibe mode that I'm actually in today. And it needs and requires this kind of attitude and perspective shift of my life, and understanding how it is that I want to experience life, and how it is that I actually can create that in every single moment of my life. So if you're interested in knowing more, you can book a free coaching call with me, and you have all the information in the description below. So after this video, in order for you to create more space for yourself, look into one decision where you want to make that change in your decision, how it is that you are going to create more space for yourself in your everyday life, right? And also, what are these type of different lifestyle changes that you want to implement in your life? Did you feel that all resonated? Did you feel that you were in all these different type of phases, or did you feel like something was particularly inspiring you, felt uplifting, felt like relieving for you, or felt like, yeah, I'm intrigued to start this one? In that case, start with that. That is our intuition that is guiding us towards our highest inspirations. So pick that one, so to say. I hope that this was helpful for you. Love to see you next time. Take good care of yourself and keep on listening to your within talks.